Hello and welcome to Live from America podcast. This is Hatem alongside me, the one and only award winner, Noam Dworman. Yay! Welcome to the
Oh,
show.
hi, Hatem.
It's the way I like it. Me and Noam. The way he doesn't like it, but the way I like it. There's so much to
Oh,
talk about.
let me close my door too.
Okay. A lot of time I go to the on Thursdays or and other days I go to the off tree and I just one of my favorite things is just to hang out with Noam and company and talk about stuff. It's really a
I
lot of
like that.
fun.
I like it too. We should do that instead of the podcast.
Yeah, that's why I like to have the podcast like that. But it's so much fun. But so yeah, first we're gonna talk about the sh crazy shooting yesterday in Manhattan. We're gonna talk about the Biden pardon and all that. But first, I want to talk about the award winner. Congratulations. Very happy for you. Well deserved. So tell us about the award. Free
Oh
speech.
God.
I know you don't
Why?
like it.
I won the National Coalition Against Censorship Free Speech Defender Award.
That's a big deal.
Is it? I don't know if it's a big deal.
Those days to give somebody like free speech award, please.
I don't know. I mean, I'm proud to get it.
Yeah, so I think it's especially in this time, and it has a lot to do because I know you for a while, and you know and I know your family. It's like the awards that I think it's very well deserved. You rarely see somebody get awards that deserved, but it was well deserved because throughout the years, you never let anybody, especially in the comedy business, obviously we disagree in Israel,
Hmm.
but in the comedy business, even if you disagree with them, you wouldn't let them. I remember there was a waiter that was even wearing Free Palestine. Everybody was like pissed off, and he like still let them on. You're like that kind of guy, annoying, but
Yeah,
that kind of
I don't.
guy.
Maybe I should have done that. But go ahead.
But yeah, but I mean, was there a specific incident that made you win that award, or they were highlighting the whole career?
No, no specific incident,
Okay,
as far
not
as
the
I know.
Louis C.K.
They didn't identify anything to me. No.
Oh, okay. Also, I'm gonna play at the end of after this. I'm gonna post you a speech. I know you're posting on your website, but I want to post it here too. But it was pretty funny speech. Actually, I did not expect it like that. It was pretty smart because he said you talked a little bit about free speech, about the choices and stuff like that. But there was something that was interesting in the beginning. He said, "I might have changed my mind now." What was that about?
No, I didn't say anything like that.
Not like that, but like,
I said that I was thinking about talking about the things that are not working out with free speech. The fact that all these conspiracy theorists are spreading like wildfire, and that there's so much anti-Semitism with millions and millions of followers, and they make claims, and then the claims are community noted or debunked in some way, and then the retractions, the original claims get millions of hits, millions of views, and then the retractions get tens of thousands of impressions. So, I'm concerned about the idea that the truth may not be winning the battle, even to get exposed, let alone to have the opportunity to actually win the hearts and minds of people. People can't respond to it if they never get to see it, and the algorithms which control so much of what we see. Don't seem to be up to the job. I'm worried
yeah.
about that. I'm not advocating censorship, God forbid.
And the thing is, like with you also is, when somebody fight with you or complain or something, you bring them on the podcast and you talk about it.
Yeah, it doesn't always work out, but I try. Yeah,
Oh, you,
I had Aaron Mate on yesterday, but I don't know if the podcast was good. It got bogged down in a lot of details. I'm losing my stomach for this stuff.
oh, really? I can't wait to watch it. What happened? You and
No,
Aaron didn't get
he and I
along?
got he and I got along great. I'm just saying I just don't know if it's interesting anymore. We're debating Ukraine, debating Israel. It's just you've heard it all before.
I think a lot of times people, and this is the one thing that I'm proud of myself is like, there's people that take one stand no matter what, it doesn't matter. And they will say like, no, I'm always in this team. But if you can see the faults in your own team, then there's a big problem.
Yeah, that's right.
But did you see you had a fight with Rashid Talibi too, right?
Who?
Talibi.
Khalidi?
Yeah, Khalidi. I mean, sorry.
Thank God you get all those Arabic names confused. Um, if I did it, oh, you see, he thinks we're all blah, 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 blah. That was more than a year ago.
Yeah, I
Or
just
she,
remember because Biden was reading his book. You see that picture?
yeah, I saw that. You think I didn't see that picture? Of course I saw that picture. He's so annoying. That book is awful. It's a piece of trash.
Well, now Biden is reading when he's coming out of office.
Well, first of all, you really believe Biden's reading that
Of
book?
course not.
Yeah, it's a
It's a
statement of some
stunt.
kind.
Yeah. So
Um,
in your speech, last thing, I know you don't like to take credit for anything, but in your speech, I think I like speeches because a lot of times I feel like people have, when you have a speech, you have a way of telling people who you really are. Especially like I'm stuck with some certain speeches, especially from presidents and stuff like that. Like when Biden was stepping down or after Trump got shot, there's like an amazing amount of people listening to you and you don't get that speech right. But I think your speech was perfect because you also read a lot of the emails, which I think it's funny and smart. A lot of emails complaining about comedy.
yeah, well, I was writing a speech and I thought to myself, I've been to these events. These speeches are boring. Nobody really wants to sit through this. I said, what am I going to do? And then it occurred to me, one of the good ways to illustrate the whole thing about free speech and comedy would be to read some of these customer complaint emails that I get. And some of them are quite funny, although I forgot the one where the woman complained that she was so upset about what she heard that it put her in a bad mood and therefore she wasn't able to have sex. And she was at her, this was one of her final opportunities because she was getting older and she was trying to have a baby and she was afraid she was running out of fertile cycles. Somehow I didn't read that email, but I read a bunch of them.
It's
And yeah, the crowd seemed to enjoy it.
that was one of my favorite. I always tell that story. I have a friend of mine, he owns a restaurant, and he said he just getting sued that there's a guy that was sitting in a chair, fell off the chair, and he said that his dick is not working anymore.
Oh, this is a classic thing. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But your story with that girl or woman, didn't I tell that story to everyone. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Even though I like the one is like other than that, everything was great.
Yeah, I can't find that email too. I gotta find it. I can't remember if it was on Google Maps. Like, it's somewhere. I'll find it.
If you can find some emails from your for Manny's time too, it's he was pretty funny in responding to some emails.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Those are gone.
yeah, well, congratulations. Now we're gonna call you from now on award winner, Noam Dworman. So
Thank you.
welcome to the club of the winners.
Yeah, my father would have been proud.
Yeah, oh, definitely, especially this award. And I like, I think you should have a party at the cellar to highlight it. But I like that Colin and everybody like Colin and Judy, and I'm sure so many people, even though I wasn't invited, with so many people there that was so happy and proud, and the way Colin was talking, even I saw like the way Mila clapping. I like these little things. It just so good. So congratulations, well deserved.
Yeah, well, that was the best part that my daughter got to be there. That was the best part for me.
Yeah, yeah. And she's you can see that she's feeling it too. So that was amazing. So uh congrats. Let's talk about speaking of daughters and sons and stuff, Biden's pardon. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I must if it ever came up on this show, I'm sure I said that he's going to pardon his son. I mean, it seemed obvious to me. Um, you know, I would have pardoned my son. The charge is kind of bullshit. There are other ways to look at it. Of course, when Biden has been one of the people who has championed these strict laws about uh, how people should be punished for buying a gun if they're lying, substance abuse, or people should pay their fair share, right? That's his big thing. Then this is hypocrisy because he's wanted these standards for us, for our family members who might have been suffering from addiction. Um, And then when it came to his own family, he couldn't do it. Having said that, I nobody wants to see Hunter Biden. Nobody ought want to see Hunter Biden in jail for these things. And Biden is right, although he didn't put it quite this way, but that when somebody is faced with the situation where they have to sentence Joe Biden's son, they are now pressured in one way or another by the high profile of the verdict. And it's not crazy to think that a judge who might otherwise go have gone easy on somebody like that feels like, I better give him some jail time just to so people don't think I'm in the tank for Joe Biden or something like that. So the father doesn't want to see his son go through that. And so, I understand why he pardoned him. However, what gets me is that of all the lies this guy's been telling for, 4 years, 8 years, or 30 years of his career, this is the dumbest and most understandable and least consequential lie he's ever told. He lied and said that the Hunter's laptop was a Russian hoax when he knew it was real. He lied that he wasn't involved with had no knowledge and wasn't involved with his son's business when he was actually on the phone to the gangsters in Ukraine, kind of saying, hey, how you doing, guys, and taking pictures of them. This guy's told so many fucking lies his whole career. He lies so much he doesn't know when he's lying. And this, all of a sudden, is the one the Democrats are like, oh my God, he's a hypocrite. He's been a hypocrite all along. But of course, they're only doing that because he's on his way out the door, and now that it's fashionable to be able to trash him. So I call bullshit on as I always have on both sides. All politicians are liars and hypocrites, and I'm happy that the left is now having to deal with it, and they can't just complain about Trump.
I like the fact also that, he should have said like a big fuck you to America too as he leaving out, because everybody's like, you old. He's like, you said you're not gonna pardon his son. He should have said, I said that? I don't
I
remember.
don't remember saying that. I'm an old
I don't
man.
remember. I don't remember that. But the thing is, like, I don't agree with when they say like he repeatedly lied when he said before that he's not gonna pardon his son. I don't know that if he lied. He
He
just
lied.
But maybe he thought that Kamala is gonna. First of all, he said it a lot of times when he thought that he was gonna run. So maybe he thought that he's gonna win. Maybe he thought Kamala's gonna win. I don't think at that moment he
Even if he
thought.
had won, he would have had to pardon him. I mean, he could have pardoned. He could have waited longer till to see how the
Yeah.
appeal went. But in the end, he was gonna. Point is, he was not gonna let his son go to jail. Hunter certainly knew all along throughout this entire process, which would explain maybe even some of the decisions that he made, legal strategic decisions, that he knew he was not going to go to jail. In the end, if push came to shove, his father or Kamala would prevent it. And that's that. And it's
Yeah.
interesting. It's actually interesting. I guess not. I guess he knew he'd do it before Kamala won. But it would be interesting to know if Kamala won, was there a deal between Joe and Kamala where she would pardon him? Did they actually have that conversation where she would pardon
Hmm.
Biden's son if the time, if the situation ripened?
That would be interesting because usually you're pardoning when you're on your way out, not on your way in. So that would be a
No,
big.
in other words, that who knows how long the appeal would go, and I don't know. There's a lot of intrigue. Who knows?
Yeah, no, that's that but and even Trump said it that he's gonna pardon his son. So, Danny Savelis, who unfortunately wasn't able to be here today. He might jump in at some point, but he was on X. He was saying like it was weird also that he specify certain time and certain action. It could have said from all and every actions, and that's it. You know, but a lot of people was like, why is he saying that? And I like your ex too. Is like, can he pay his taxes back now? You said that.
Well, that's the one thing that I think is not really defensible is that they say no man's above the law, and could make the argument that's true, but this Hunter was not going to be treated fairly here, so that's why I felt I had to pardon him. But the one thing that there is no excuse for was the fact that the statute of limitations protected him from paying a full year's worth of taxes. I think it was the most significant year as well. And the right thing to do would have been to say, I'm pardoning my son because of XYZ reasons. However, he will pay the back taxes that he managed to avoid because of a legal technicality.
That's actually would have been smart.
Yeah, he should
And
have
they
done
and they
that.
ha it's not that they don't have the money.
No, it's not that they don't have the money, that's for sure.
All right, what about let's jump to Trump's picks. What do you think of it in general? Like when you see names like Kash Patel or like Mike Gates is out, obviously, but you know the others, the Fox News guy, and now maybe DeSantis.
Except
Yeah, and they say maybe DeSantis now is going to replace him. When you see these picks, does it matter to you
DeSantis is going to, I saw something about it. Who's he going to replace?
for the defense? The one defense.
Why? When does DeSantis' term end? In 2026?
Yeah, but I'm sure he's gonna quit before that, you know.
Well, he'd only quit to take
And
this
instead of
position.
to take the position. Kind of like Marco Rubio.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I don't like all these off-brand picks.
Yeah.
I don't trust them. E- even for people who would represent a kind of reformist, shake things up kind of point of view that I would agree with, these don't seem like substantial people to represent that school of thought. To me, I have only a superficial knowledge of these people. DeSantis, I would very much support.
Really.
Why wouldn't it? Why would anybody oppose DeSantis?
It just doesn't have experience in the Department of Defense.
Well, he's a very, very experienced administrator, and he was in the military, wasn't he?
I think for a year. I mean, for he said that he has, but I don't know. It doesn't look like he was. Maybe for a year or two. I'm not sure.
I'll tell you right now.
But what the thing is, like when you see people like that, in one way, you know, you want to get people that from outsiders to kind of shake things out. But at the same time, they have to have some kind of involvement to understand the system that they're gonna shake out. No, like
Uh,
kicking somebody completely is gonna learn about the system.
so he was a Navy. He's in the Navy as a lawyer for many years. It seems like.
Oh, a lawyer, that's right.
Um, I don't know if he saw any action, but DeSantis is a serious guy. Yale and Harvard and governor of Florida. That's the kind of person we're used to in these kinds of positions, as opposed to some. Listen, as I said, I've heard some people say that Hegseth is a credible person. It doesn't appear that way, right? But maybe he is. But DeSantis certainly is, and I'm sure DeSantis could get approved without any problem.
Yeah, I think anybody that was a governor is good enough, you know, to run something. At
Well,
least he's
but
gonna run something.
DeSantis especially, DeSantis, I know some people don't like his politics, but I mean, during COVID, he was extremely competent, you
Yeah.
know.
And Florida grew up a lot, you know, people moving there and stuff like that. But what about the Elon Musk relationship with Trump and getting too involved? What do you think of that? And the insufficient what they gonna Doge, him and Ramaswamy. What do you think of that?
Well, I'm basically well disposed to Elon Musk despite many apparent reasons not to be, the way he tweets and stuff like that. And the way he's kind of reckless in the way he tweets, because his accomplishments speak for themselves, right? I mean, the guy has just accomplished too many incredible things to imagine that he's not capable. I mean, if anybody on planet Earth is capable, it's Elon Musk, right? So, I can't just write him off as a nutty nutcase like RFK or one of these guys. So I'm okay with Elon. Ramaswamy strikes me as a charlatan type, although that may be unfair to him. I don't really know much about him. I know he made some remarks about 9/11 conspiracies, and then he kind of double talked about it. I have no stomach for these guys. I just don't. I'm happy. I'm happy the left lost. And I hope Trump does a good job. I can't say I'm happy about Trump being president because I don't respect. There's too many things about the way he does things that I not only do I not respect them, but I know that they're dangerous.
Yeah.
Like you're playing the odds. Like, he might be fine, but you can't shoot from the hip, dealing with the most complex problems on earth, and expect that sooner or later your luck is not going to run out just because rightfully you understand that being tough and a little unpredictable kind of keeps people in line. It does. And Trump has a certain kind of common sense gut that is sometimes smarter than the elites and the experts. I agree, he does. But I don't know who's a great president, but he's no Bill Clinton, he's no Ronald Reagan, he's no Abraham Lincoln, He's just not.
He wants to be Ronald Reagan so bad.
No, we have Reagan's diaries. We have extensive knowledge of Reagan's thought processes, his conversations with people. We know the way he was revered by the very important heavyweights like George Shultz and George H.W. Bush that surrounded him. Donald Trump is no Ronald Reagan. He's just not.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is, like, the people, that's what worries me. He's surrounding himself with people. They're not going to tell him the truth. They're not going to tell him, stand up for him. Maybe that's one good thing about Ron DeSantis, actually. But I don't know if any of this, if the, Ramaswamy or Kash Patel or these guys are, you know, uh, the only one I'll be happy to pick if he does, just to piss you off, is Tucker Carlson.
Oh, God, don't even
He should be the
imagine.
ambassador of Israel.
He's
That would
he's
have been a
really
good pick.
Tucker Carlson is such a jackass.
It would have been. I give Trump one thing though, is like his presence as a president is great. Like he talked about turf and the Prime Minister of Canada like flew to him right away. Like it's insane. You heard about they said that if he told them if Canada failed, you can just join us as a 51st state.
Yes, if you don't like the tariffs, maybe you want to be the 51st state. He says the 51st state, we might be on the other side. So we'll divide it into two states.
He's crazy. But yeah, but what do you predict the future with him? I think it's gonna be a rocky 4 years.
I think it's going to be okay.
Yeah. I'm
You
sure you're
know,
happy with his selection to the, ambassador of Israel.
yes, I'm happy with all his selections vis-a-vis Israel because he's making a statement. I know the Muslims who voted for him may not like it, but he's making a very clear statement about, who's it's not just whose side we're on because to me, although I don't expect other people to see it this way, he's not making an anti-Palestinian statement.
I
And I
agree.
bet you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would imagine that behind closed doors, I don't know about Mike Huckabee because he's kind of religious fanatic, but people like Rubio and Stefanik actually want the Palestinians to have their own state and actually wants them to be treated humanely and will have concerns about Israel taking shortcuts and killing people in war, stuff like that. They're not monsters, but he's making a statement about who is our ally, who represents our civilization, away the West, and he's saying that Hamas and all the people who are supporting Hamas can't be treated simply as the flip side of the coin to Israel. And he, and again, I'm not saying people need to agree with that, but it's a cultural statement. Like they're part of us, and Hamas and this kind of fundamentalist and you always say it doesn't represent Islam, but this is, but they represent themselves as Islam. But this, whatever you want to label that, without using the word Muslim, because I know it bothers you, but whatever label you'd put on that group of people that you yourself feel are false representatives of your faith, that we want no part of them, and that, wake up everybody, and that's the cultural statement that he's making. And I think it will filter down. I think it will go a long way towards stopping the anti-Semitism that we're seeing everywhere around the world, not just in America. So I'm happy about it.
I think he's, and a lot of people like in Arabic Muslim community was not happy with, especially his pick with the ambassador. And I was like, listen, he's trying to make a statement, but I think the good thing about Trump in that specific is he's a businessman and he really appreciates the role of Saudi Arabia and UAE, and they both have the same vision, which is peace, a Palestinian state, and no Hamas. So
Right.
he's going to make like a lot of the other, president. They don't see Saudi Arabia as a big player in terms of like with the US. He appreciate what they does to him. So I think he's gonna make a very good deal actually. Because he appreciate the fact that they do business with him very well. But yeah, I agree that with these choices, it's just a split statement he wants to do. So I'm not worried about it. I actually think sometimes it's best to deal with the person that's not got like, the Democrats. They will say one thing and they do the opposite. It's the same thing. They do the same thing. They just will say, put somebody who's tough on both and not call bullshit on people's face. So I think it's gonna be actually good because he's gonna be able to make a deal. Marco Rubio, I think somebody was, said something very interesting. Is like, Rubio accepted that rule and left Congress because he doesn't want to vote against Trump's uh, ideas in the Congress and disagree with them, but he knows that he's going to disagree with them. That's why he left and took this job. Who's that? Because we know he want to be a president. Who's the last president that was, took his position? I don't think anybody was a president that took Marco Rubio's position before. Is there?
What's the question?
Marco Rubio's position. He wants to be a president.
Yeah.
So does anybody that foreign minister was ever a president before?
Secretary of State ever
Yeah,
became president?
yeah, I
Oh,
don't
I'm
think so.
sure. John Quincy Adams.
No, we're talking
Uh,
about years ago. The
yeah,
last 30 years?
recently,
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton came the closest.
Yeah, usually a position that's not gonna, serve you well to become. Usually you get it if you were nominated for president and didn't work, like John Kerry or stuff like that. But for him to take that position, I'm sure he want to be a president. So it's gonna be good for him to do peace in the Middle East
Listen, don't we know there's never gonna be peace in the Middle East because the Palestinians don't want it?
because the Israeli what?
They don't want it. I'm more convinced than ever that they don't want it.
Well, you're wrong. When they
Well,
do
then
all the
I've
stuff.
I've I've never seen such a mythology created around a people who will not who, a kind of desire and overlay mentally that we put on them without the requirement of a single one of them actually telling us they want this.
No, there's a lot they've been telling, but we just
Who?
don't listen.
Who?
But now,
Why don't you Google and you can play the video on here? Show me the Palestinian leader speaking for two-state solution. I want to see it.
all the people that go with, I showed you so many videos. I show you the guy from the UN, the Jordanian ambassador, his speech. There's so many. But the thing is, like now, after all this, after what happened, all the innocent people have died. I don't know how they're gonna feel about it. You know, that's a different solution. It requires, tough leaders from both sides, like I said. So we'll see.
Look, my a mutual friend of ours said something to me, and it stuck with me and stuck with me and stuck with me. He said that, well, if there's a Palestinian state, he wants it. He says, I'm not going to quote him exactly the way he said it, but he said basically that it's just going to likely descend into civil war. They'll likely start killing each other. And it immediately occurred to me when he said that if that's what the moderate Palestinians believe, that a Palestinian state will descend into civil war, or there's a good possibility of it, they are not going to support the Palestinian state. And it's not for the traditional reason that we expect, that they don't want to let Israel have the so-called victory of ending the conflict. There's an additional reason here, which I haven't heard it talked about, but common sense tells me it's real, is that they will assess that as much as they don't like the status quo, they're better off now than they will be under a Palestinian state. There's law and order to some extent. They have more rights than they have elsewhere. They have all the ugliness of Israel, but the Palestinians on the West Bank anyway have the highest standard of living of any Arab people in a non-oil rich country. And they know that if there was a state on the West Bank, Iran, fundamentalists, Hamas would immediately undertake the enterprise of trying to take over, to take power, to bring in Sharia law, to all these things that happen in every other Arab country, which is why they have dictatorships, right? So why would they, if you were a middle class Palestinian living in Ramallah, I don't believe you'd support the two-state solution.
Well, I'll tell you what, first of
You
all,
have too much to lose.
this is what's going on right now. Hamas is doing exactly what you say. Hamas is, and this was one of the strategies of Israel is to make two different, Hamas and the Palestinian liberation against each other as well. And they are already against each other. But listen, Hamas wanted to be like that. They want to be like, we are at war. They don't want peace because if there was peace, they were not going to get the money. They're not going to get all the shit. So, but you cannot say like, oh, they always gonna be. It's gonna be, yeah, it's going to be a period of time we're gonna be fight for authorities and stuff like that. But how would you know they're not gonna thrive like Saudi Arabia or we always said like, oh my God, look at Saudi Arabia, they're like this, but look at them now. Same thing. So you cannot lose.
They have money coming out of the ground.
That's
There's
not
no,
the only reason.
that's the only reason.
No, so they always had money coming out of the ground. Why they are what they are now? It's because of the leaders, the people. There's a lot of things that
Right,
changed.
but they could no, they needed the change in leadership, but it's paid for by the money coming out of the ground.
No, but
And
why would they want the change if they could not do it? Like somebody like Gaddafi, who had all this money and he never did anything because that's his thoughts, that's his strategy.
but
You have to
without
gotta give
without
credit for some of the leaders.
but without the money coming out of the ground, and Saudi Arabia actually has less dissent anyway, but maybe that's just because they're so harsh with it. But without the money coming out of the ground, I don't see it. I see the West Bank descending into violence, or it's likely enough, the risk is high enough that the reward is not worth the risk, the chance for middle class. I mean, why does Abbas not show interest in a two-state solution? I used to think, I'm sure part of it is because of, he doesn't want to accept Israel. But then it's got to be more than that, or it could be more than that, which is that he thinks he's better off this way. He doesn't want to get assassinated.
Well, I think a lot of leaders, if your job is to lead through the negotiation and through trying to create a state, I think a lot of people want us to keep it like that. My job will be done if it's done. But there's one thing that I want to comment because it's always I like, what's his name? Sam Harris does say that a lot, and now you start to say it, is like the money, the wealth coming from the ground. I feel like it's a little bit insulting because first of all the wealth come from the ground, from all the
No,
countries. No,
that's not
gold.
true.
We don't have oil here. We have the most reserve oil in the world.
Who, us? Yeah, but that's oil is not the basis of our
No, but I'm
economy.
saying what all the wealth, gold, uranium, all this stuff come from the ground. But when you say it's just come
No,
from the ground,
no,
it takes away from
that's not true.
what's not true. Tell me
That's
what
not where
wealth
the
like
wealth comes. Well, let's look at Israel. They have zero oil. Look at Japan. They have zero oil.
I'm not talking about oil only. I said all the wealth comes from
No,
somewhere.
Japan, and Israel, South Korea, many rich countries, Singapore, they have zero natural resources.
No, when you say you missing my point. When you say the wealth come from the ground, I feel that's insulting to the people themselves because there's other things that led to that. It's not just money coming out. How many Africa is the richest place in the world, with all the natural resources, but they're the poorest place in the world. So I don't my point is like you should give credit also to the people. It's not always just the wealth come out. There's so many rich countries that has nothing, because they're poor. But anyway, let's move
No,
to the
no, Saudi Arabia,
uh-huh.
without the money it makes from oil, has barely any economy whatsoever.
But that's not the point. I'm talking
But
about
that's my point.
no, yeah. When you say without the coming out, so you're saying that we're talking about the change. I'm saying like they're changing to a lot of things, and that because of the leader. I said no, that's because of the money. It's like not
No,
necessary.
I said it's the leaders, but the leaders is not
The
whatever. Okay.
leaders and the people. That for example, like if you go to Dubai or like the way the people live, they wanted to make it
Listen,
like
I would
that.
just tell you again. The people on the West Bank, Palestinians, have the highest standard of living of any Arab country, and probably extended to most Muslim, non-oil Arab country. They're the only they're wealthier than Jordan. The only countries that rival it are the sparsely populated, oil-rich countries like the Emirates and South, the various on the peninsula, and they're all dictatorships. They're brutal dictatorships. And I mean, why is Saudi Arabia kind of on Israel's side here? Because they all fear Iran.
One of the reasons, but they also, I think the same thing that I said before with Osama bin Laden and with Al Qaeda and all these people is like because we suffered from them before. I said what Hamas did in Egypt. But it's funny, do you ever watch or listen to the messages that I send you when I text you?
Sometimes.
Did you see that one that I sent you? It's fun. That's how I know that you don't. Yeah, a week ago I sent you a TikTok. Did you watch it about the Palestinian guy in Israel?
I don't remember. I do watch them.
He said, "Look at this. Look at this Palestinian. If we had this, it was in Tel Aviv, and it's like, look how clean. It looked like Switzerland. If we had it, we would have been fighting right now. It would have been. You haven't seen. So it's exactly what you were just saying, and he was saying an Arabic guy in Palestine, but it doesn't represent everybody. I'm saying that yeah, some of course, uh, living in Israel could be like of value right now, but so is other places. And I think you take it away from people when they say like." Um, they will destroy the place if they take over and stuff. Yeah, well, it probably will from the beginning, like any new country. They're gonna be
That's what so many Palestinians said to me.
yeah. But I sent you that video. It's
And
funny.
I didn't say destroy the place. I said they'll fight each other. They'll start
Yeah,
killing
but
each other.
in that video he was saying like, look at this, look, it's beautiful, it's shiny, it's like Switzerland. No, I think he's Israeli actually, not Palestinian. But I am very first,
Tel Aviv was a swamp. Tel Aviv was an uninhabited swamp when the Jews moved there.
well, stop bragging. Uh,
No, it's
you know,
true. It wasn't taken from the Palestinians.
who is the most country that gets aid from the world?
From America, you mean?
America and most of the world. Isn't it Israel?
I don't think anybody but America gives money to
Well, they
Israel.
give enough money, so that's your natural resources coming
No,
from the skies.
no. Actually, foreign aid is a tiny percentage of Israel's economy now. Tiny.
Well, but I mean, you get a lot of foreign aid. There's a lot of solution. We can check, but I want to talk before we go. I want to talk about the shooting yesterday or the day before. Isn't that crazy?
What's that?
The shooting of the CEO in Manhattan.
I don't know. I don't really know that story. I mean, I've heard people talking about it.
You didn't see the video?
No.
It's insane. It's like it's like assassination in the middle of Manhattan, like at 6 o'clock in the morning. But like just and there's a manhunt, and that like he had a silencer in his gun. Like it looks like a very professional hit. I can't believe you're
But
not following that story. That's insane.
for some reason, I don't find it that interesting.
Wow. Yeah, no, it's crazy. But I mean, like even they have a uh uh cryptid message on the pullets. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I'm looking at Israel's aid. Israel's aid is down to 1% of Israel's GDP. What'd you say?
Hold on, I'll share it with you. They found that on the bullets, cryptid. Can you see it? A message. It says deny the
Oh
pull.
yeah, I heard about deny, dispose, and something, defend or something. Delay, deny, defend.
Yeah, delayed. That's crazy. I mean, like even the shooting itself, it's but the one thing that we
But what I
know,
have seen on Twitter is people like saying, "Yeah, these executives do suck. You know, there's other ones that we should kill."
I
It's
know.
crazy.
You think this is RFK?
No.
He's like, well, we know that the killer is Jewish. He's not Palestinian. You know why?
Why?
Because he was in Starbucks and we like boycotting Starbucks.
Oh, you guys are boycotting Starbucks? Well, how come?
And now we gotta start drinking boycott Starbucks all the time because of the support to your people.
All right, I didn't know that.
Yeah. You didn't know that, really? Why do you think Starbucks is closing all
There's
over?
a lot of things I don't follow.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that's pretty much it. Unless there's something I want to talk a lot about the shooting, but you're not into
Well,
it.
you could talk about it. Tell me about it.
But I mean, like it's just so crazy. First of all, to be able to do this in the middle of the like world that lives with all these cameras, and to get the guy at 6 o'clock in the morning the way he did it, and he was just so calm. It's like an assess. I don't know if we can play the video here, but you should watch the video. It's insane, And he was calm, and they said that his gun was jammed, and then he fixed it calmly and shot him again, and then took a bike to Central Park. Like the whole thing is just like I can't wait to see the Netflix special about it. It's like gonna
Well,
be so good.
they're gonna catch him, right? I mean, they must have picked him up somewhere.
No, not yet. The last trail they had was in Central Park, which is smart. He took
I mean,
electric bike.
there must be videos everywhere.
Oh yeah, yeah. You should see it in Twitter because the Twitter is like have the there's one things that give Twitter is like I mean we still call Twitter not X, but you know
Yeah.
What do you think of Eric Adams said like he want to work with the border control one, and he's like not for everybody, just for the criminals.
Well, that's they. I mean, everybody doesn't. Everybody agree they should that somebody comes here and comes here illegally and commits crime. They should get deported immediately.
Yeah, of course, but I'm saying like for Eric Adams to say just for that, it's not going to be just for that. It's going to be for everybody.
Look, I don't know that it'd be just for everybody, but um, we can't always speak out of both sides of our mouth. If we do want to control the border, we have to be ready to deport people.
Yeah. No, I mean like I think the border. This is that argument
It's
itself is so
It's
crazy.
heartbreaking to deport people.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people here illegally, and I would go to great measures to try to prevent them from being deported. They're already integrated into our lives, into our economy, which is why it's very important to try to prevent them from getting here in the first place. And this kind of catch and release, where we release them for a couple of years and then they have a hearing and then they get deported. This doesn't seem right either, because after a certain amount of time, first of all, they can find ways to stay by getting married or whatever it is, but they also just they become part of our lives. And we pay a price. It's a cost emotionally to us to see our friends and neighbors deported, and it hurts our businesses. It's it's bad. They need to control the border and have a very quick process where if somebody gets caught, they get deported. We're always going to have some illegal immigration, and we can live with some, but we can't have what we have now.
Yeah, I know it's out of control. Did I ever tell you the story of like I know a guy who came through the border from Mexico and then he stayed here, he made money for like 5, 10 years and he was gonna go back home. And he's going back through the border. I was like, you can just fly back. He says, like, you're not gonna catch me in the airport. I was like, no. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, we definitely there's no country that doesn't control their border. It's insane. But you know, I think that the future is going to be crazy. But I hope he want to work for his legacy. Speaking of legacy, I think Biden's legacy is done. He's going to be well known for
I,
what?
I can really crashed and burned, right?
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah, he's probably thinking it's like, why should I? Not only his only legacy was that he was the one that stopped Trump from coming back. Not only Trump did come back, he came back stronger than ever.
Yeah.
It's insane. So, uh,
He he made so many mistakes.
he
So
did
many mistakes. He
something that,
also he he made a fundamental mistake, which is that he really didn't make any serious moves towards ending the divided feeling in the country.
yeah, that's a great
And
point.
and in the end, he had to stand for re-election to before a country that was, I guess, even more divided than it had been previously. Because he really told us, the Trump supporters were Neanderthals and this and that, and he made that speech with the red and threat to democracy, and he's Hitler and blah blah blah. And he was talking about half the country
Yeah,
supporting Hitler. Half the country is worse than Jim Crow. Half the country is a. That's not the way your president should be speaking. It's just not. Even if there's a strategy where I'm going to talk this way, and you have the vice president speak very divisively. Like there's even cynical ways to play this game. But the president of the United States should have been making peace and speaking nicely of, you know, 90, 85, 90% of the country. Obviously not the people, the monstrous, the Nazis, whatever. He doesn't have to reach out to them. But to the grand majority of people who just disagree about issues, but they're Americans and they're the people whose children volunteer for the military and fight and die for the country. These are largely Trump supporters, right?
yeah.
Show some respect. Show some fucking respect.
And you said that before during the first election. It's like when you keep calling his supporters toothless trash, what do you expect that's going to happen? That was
Well,
even
Biden
the
didn't
first
say
time.
tooth. Biden didn't call them toothless trash,
No,
but
but I'm saying when in
liberals did.
general, when people
Yeah.
say, but I think his biggest mistake also, and it's kind of like shows the woke movement and stuff, is like he picked a VP that's unable to continue. He was supposed to be the middleman based on just that she's a woman and color. Like there's so many, I think that was installed because so many talented women of color that could have not chose, but they were there. But he wanted to get somebody that just that fits check the box without being able to, and look what we are right now, you know? And I think that's one of his biggest mistakes. And of course, for overall, when he said that he's a Zionist, that's I think the way he the way he handled the war in general was bad because he didn't take one side. He will help Israel every way possible, didn't stop anything happen, but then will criticize and say that so he didn't win the Arabs and he didn't win the Israeli. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, America's really suffering with this whole color problem and multi-ethnicity problem. And it remains to be seen how that's going to wind up because um, the problems are not going away, and this solution that was kind of imposed on everybody of like essentially quotas. Nobody wanted to call them quotas, but it's essentially quotas where everybody's just going to start hiring a certain number of people from protected classes, you know, to a certain number of people, America's not happy. America's not going to do that. You know, we don't like it. It's
Yeah.
not fair, and we don't like it. And then when you have people like Asians here now in such big numbers who are not descendants of slave owners and who are outperforming everybody, and they're not white and they're high earning, they destroy every argument. You know, you can't have these ideas and they don't they will not synchronize. They're not harmonious with a large Asian population. It works if you have 88% white people who've been here forever and 12% black people, and just somehow emotionally, even though I don't think a white baby is any more responsible for anything than anybody else, but the idea that, okay, this is we're the white community and they're the black community and we owe them because we were the slaveholders, you know, that sort of can manage. But when you have these Asians coming here, like, what are you talking about? We didn't do anything, you know. Anyway, there's many ways to look at it, but people want to be treated as individuals. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
People want to be treated as individuals. And then people of color will say, well, they never treat us as individuals. And they have some truth to that too. So they say, well, what do you expect from us? How are we going to get treated as individuals? It's not so easy as just to say we should be treated as individuals. We have a whole history in this country where we've never been able to be treated as individuals, they'll say. And so we tried to overcome it with this kind of quota system. That didn't work either. So I don't know. I don't know where we're headed with that.
Yeah, and that's another. I don't think, that was a great point with Biden not bringing the country together. I don't think Trump would either. So we need somebody who's going to.
Yeah,
Um,
but Trump actually never speaks bad about Americans the way Biden does. Interestingly, he'll speak bad about the press. You know, he's never really talked bad about Biden voters.
no, but he always think about certain groups of the people. But I don't.
Illegal
But he's not.
immigrants.
Yeah, but not only the immigrants. He could be talk about Muslims. Even though he's so proud of. He's like, I have Muslim friends now. Is
Who knows?
I don't know, but we do need somebody who's gonna bring us together. I don't know who that's gonna be, especially like they say there's a rumor that Hillary want to run again and Kamala want to run again. That will be interesting. That will be very interesting to see that debate. It's like, shut up. But there's nobody coming up that, that's interesting to watch that's gonna run. Especially I think after Trump is done, if he's done, and JD Vance, that's gonna be a big issue. So we
Yeah,
shall
well,
see.
we'll see.
Are you gonna run for mayor?
No, I'm not running for mayor.
Why? I'll be your what's the mayor vice president?
The vice mayor,
Vice
deputy
mayor.
mayor.
Deputy
I
mayor.
don't know. I don't know anything. What a miserable job that would be. Some policeman shoots somebody and then you have to defend it, or
I'm just gonna show up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
every
Yeah,
snowstorm you got to worry about them sweeping the streets.
yeah, but you'll be fine.
No, I
I
have
think
no
you have
interest.
your way around. But yeah, you should follow that story, the shooting story. Uh, it's amazing. It's crazy. But anyway,
Okay.
so I will see you later tonight, hopefully. And thank
Yes,
you
I'll
and
be in tonight.
congratulations. I'm gonna post your speech if you can send it to me and this website as well, and this YouTube, I mean. And congratulations.
I put it on YouTube. You can download it
I'll
from
put it in my
YouTube.
YouTube. Can I download it from yours? I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Live America
Bye.
podcast.